Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother and Dad. Love, Ruth, John, Mark, Jan, Patricia, and Peter. 1981, Part 170. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. January 14th, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, it is so wonderful to be home, and we had just a super trip. It was so close to being in paradise as I could hope for on this earth, to be with our family together in such a beautiful spot. The clean, lovely water, sky and sunshine on Cistern Key, Bahamas, white sand beaches, and everyone so relaxed. It is so beautiful here now, too. So different with the Lake Erie frozen and covered with snow, such serenity. How very fortunate we are. John just phoned that Patty had called him for advice about a job. She had an interview with CBS TV, but has had an offer of another job. They've called her 5 times, and she may lose that if she waits for CBS. John advised her to go with her vibes, her own vibrations of what would be best. It really was heaven being with our kids, so rejuvenating. And to have 20 days down there, so great. Janice sent you the letter up to when they left. It's been so cold in Boston when they got back, and they're looking forward to going down in March too, to the Bahamas with us. After they left, we enjoyed sailing. We heard on the radio that Robert Vesco had renounced his American citizenship and asked for political asylum in the Bahamas. Since he owns several hotels in Nassau, he'll probably get it. Peter caught a huge lobster for our dinner one night. He's such a fine kid. Has kept his promise to you, no marijuana. He got an A and 3 B's in his courses. I awoke in the night twice, December 29th and January 11th, and had a pain in my heart for Bud. So happy Brian got home, and do hope his dysentery is treatable. We didn't know he'd returned when we left. What a wonderful experience he's had. Peter really emulates that trip of his. Too bad he didn't know Patty was in New York December 16th, but good he saw Janet and Joan. He was close to us, too, in Buffalo. We left December 18th. Wish he'd flown via Cleveland and Toronto. Our friends who lived in India, their son got amoebic dysentery, so tall and thin, and they said he'd never be free of it. Another friend's son got it in South America, but it was the treatable kind. John said it was inevitable that Brian would get it traveling in that part of the world. We hope he gets along okay. What a worry for Bud. We're so glad he's home. You didn't mention Daphne's wedding. Also a traumatic time for Brian. We're glad the bedspread green goes okay with your walls. I thought it so spring-like and fresh. The weather was not for Dad, but I thought it might fit you. Sweater. Maybe Dad would like the candy. Janice made us a lovely cushion and Christmas tree ornaments and brought coffee cake and banana bread and so much food. You'd just love her. Why don't you come down with us in March, from March 5th to the 22nd? You could stay overnight in Toronto with Janet, both coming down and going back. A month from today we'll be in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Camelback, Arizona, warmer out there. It was only 5 degrees when we got home and the pipes were frozen in the kitchen. Unfortunately, I fell as we got off the airplane and John took me to the hospital for an x-ray of my knee. And I have it bandaged up, and we didn't get to bed till 6 o'clock in the morning. That was too bad Irene got an empty envelope from us. I had written a letter and Christmas card with a picture of our family. I left it for John to seal, but apparently it fell open. I didn't renew your daily word because I didn't know it needed renewing. Mark wants me to get him a subscription, so maybe I'll send in a few more one of these days. Lenore and Dale have rented an apartment in Florida at $3,800 a month, so I'm not surprised the perfume is expensive. She wore her 3-carat diamond ring at Thanksgiving here. That's 3 times the size of mine. I'm glad you like that Cinnabar. Patty gave me Youth Dew for Christmas. We are still enjoying Dale Hughes' grandfather clock. What a gift. It was good to get back to my paintings, like getting back to my children. Holly Dreger is now divorced. We're so glad that you had a good Christmas with Bud and that Bud had Brian home, and that you had a nice New Year's with Irene and John. It's so important for you. I'll send you the article about Sun City, Arizona, near Scottsdale, a suburb of Phoenix. We thought you and Irene might like to rent an apartment for $225 a week while we're out there, February 14th to the 22nd. However, usually Super Saver airfares have to be made a month in advance. John starts his $1 million trial Monday, so is getting revved up and very busy now. He was in trial until we left too. Surprisingly, we had a long letter from Fred Stevenson. Probably Bud did too. I will send you a copy. Soma survived staying outdoors for 25 days while we were away. The boy looking after Lucy in the house put food in the garage for him with the garage open a foot. Rosemary Metro fed him too. It'll be good to get back to my painting. It's lovely to be home after a beautiful trip. Dick Stevens is still alive. His dentist has shingles and can't work. How are yours and you? We're anxious to hear about Brian. Love, Ruth and John. Now the next letters are based on Smallshaw Family Memories Collection, or SFMC number 84, published on September 20th, 2002. Letter from the editor of the SFMC. Yours truly, Peter J. Ray. Hi, everybody. Boy, it was swell seeing everybody in August in Rocky River and Lakeside. It was a very successful trip for me, thank goodness. I was pleased that the Philippine artistic items were deemed worthy by Mom for her next International Art Show at St. Peter's, and I hope they sell well, Mom. It was grand being with Dad and having quality time. We made a few of his famous runs to his office, the post office, and Giant Eagle for free cookies and specific grocery items at the right price. Once again, Dad made the Lakeside reunion happen. 112 years and counting. Good work, Dad. In addition, Dad related some swell legal memories about a judge who smelled a rose, another judge who provided Dad with a napping area, a wake-up call, and review of the case after John's deep sleep. Then there was the plaintiff, who miraculously regained his ability to walk briskly and threw down his crutches in disgust, storming out of the courtroom after an unfavorable verdict. Of course, Terry's smiling countenance was welcome and needed as always, and her remodeling efforts in the living room and dining room at 21508 Avalon Drive brought that California flair to the Midwest. It was great being with you, Terry. I really enjoyed being with Mark and hearing all about his good work at getting Plastech off the ground and making that first big sale. Good luck with that, Omar. His thoughts about listening I found most profound, and I'm attempting to put them into practice. A fairly simple concept, but oh so revolutionary and helpful. Thanks for everything, Mark. Then, of course, Patricia made big-time contributions with tickets for the Cleveland Indians versus Seattle Mariners game at Jacobs Field. Although we didn't see the whole game, a fine time was had by all. In fact, the rain delay and getting a little wet made it all the more fun. By the way, Patty, how did you make out in that bottle cap contest? Patricia proceeded to outdo herself by arranging for Peter and Dad to come to Jacobs Field and actually come out on the field and play ball with some other middle-aged amateurs. It was surely a dream come true for me, and I reveled in taking batting practice, shagging fly balls, and warming up in the bullpen. And to top it off, Bob Feller was there. I had several long visits with him in the locker room and on the field, and Dad and I ended up having dinner with him. Bob Feller, Rapid Robert, who'd have thunk? What a day. You really did good on that one, Patty. Man, I'm telling you. I was so pleased to be able to make good contact in batting practice, although with moderate power, and caught 5 of 7 fly balls to the outfield. So, Patty, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Mom and Dad and Mark and Terry, thank you all so much for everything. You folks are the best. Jai Guru. Peter J. Ray. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. January 30th, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, I was so very glad to hear from you. It had been so long that John suggested that I phone to see if you are okay. Just busy, I guess. The notice of the pillow came, so I went to the post office for it. All I can say is you shouldn't have. Such a lot of work for Irene. I only received 2 Christmas gifts, both cushions, the other one from Janice. Oh yes, Patty gave me a sample of perfume, and at last count I have 51 cushions around here, plus extras in the attic. I'm so glad that Brian seems okay. Did Daphne get married, and did Brian go to the reception? How great you are to do all the baking muffins for Brian and Dad in visiting the nursing home. Hope you don't get sick. It must be wonderful for Bud to have Brian home. He wasn't alone too long after all. We played bridge 3 times last week and went to 2 dinner dances. John and I played bridge with some friends from England, and our superintendent of school's wife got me into a duplicate bridge group, and a vice president of Ohio's wife, whose son was killed, had me to a luncheon. I was high, set them 4 doubled and vulnerable. 2 dinner dances, 1 at the yacht club, and 2 lunches. I painted some lovely poppies, and I'm going to Marilyn's art show. Patty is playing her viola in a concert in an orchestra tonight in New York. Certainly wish we could hear it. We had a card letter from Alva from Barbados saying she'd given you the information regarding taking a trip there. Are you? We leave for Arizona February 14th, back the 23rd, and leave for the Bahamas the next week. March 5th until the 15th or the 23rd, depending on whether Dick Stevens survives. Have you considered flying to Toronto March 4th, staying with Janet, and flying to Nassau, Bahamas March 5th, and going out with us? Thank you again, and take care. Love, Ruth and John. P.S. We took John's mother, Helen, and Dave and Carol to dinner at the Twine House in Huron, Ohio, where we took you last Sunday. So we had 3 dinners and 3 lunches, 2 dances, and 3 bridges last week. You could fly to Toronto March 4th, stay with Janet, and fly to Nassau March 5th to meet us, back the 15th or the 23rd. We would love you to come and be with our family. We love you, Ruth and John. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. February 4th, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, next Saturday, February 14th, we fly to Arizona, and 4 weeks from tomorrow, March 5th, we fly to Nassau. I've been wondering if you had planned a winter vacation, or if you're having the shingles so badly as grounded you in Regina, and Dad being so dependent. Also, we know you want to be at Janet's wedding in May. Hope you can work in a visit with us then, too. I called Air Canada Monday, to see what kind of arrangements could be made if you would want to come to the Bahamas. Of course, there are so many things to consider. 1. Would you want to come to the Bahamas in March? 2. Do you feel up to such a trip? 3. How do you think you could take the plane, boat, and living down there on Cistern Key? 8 days there. 4. Would it cost too much? I found out the information, and the gal talked me into making a reservation for you, which you or I can cancel if it's not what you'd want. The way we set it up is that you would fly to Toronto March 5th, stay overnight with Janet, and fly to Nassau the next day, where we would meet you, and we'd fly to Norman's Key by charter and a boat to Cistern Key. And back the same way, except no stopover in Toronto. Just a few hours, 5 on Sunday, March 15th. I'll put it on a separate piece of paper so you can digest it and let us know, okay? It costs $498 round trip in American money, weekday, but since we're coming back on Sunday, it's $585, plus $10 tax, so $595. Maybe you can get a package deal to Barbados or Hawaii cheaper. At any rate, you can call and cancel it, or let me know and I will, if you don't want it or feel it's too much for you either physically or financially. Mark and Janice are planning to come, Patty too, unless she gets a job. She's tutoring and playing in an orchestra. Peter may, unless he has too much college work. It's his vacation time, spring break. He wants to go to Africa in the summer, something like Brian's kind of trip where they work with natives. John and I might stay on until the 22nd, depending on whether Dick Stevens survives. It doesn't seem likely, though, since he's so weak, and John should take command then. If we did stay, you could too if you were up for it. We'd just change the return reservation at the last or come back standby. You probably could come back via Miami, which I'll check on. Just an idea. Nice to think of new ideas. Like flying to heaven. Cistern Key. God bless, love, Ruth. Marriott's Camelback Inn Resort and Golf Club, Scottsdale, Arizona, Suite 482, February 19th, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, what a spectacular view we have here and what luxurious living. Our suite has a compact kitchen, sofa, balcony, and huge carpeted patio deck with lounges and a table where we have breakfast. Entertain with a breathtaking view of the mountains, Camelback and Mummy. The weather has been gorgeous in the 80s. The living is about as much contrast as you can get from the Bahamas. The dinners are so lavish. Duck at a French cuisine, poached salmon at the lovely dining room, eggs Benedict, strawberries for breakfast, a lovely buffet brunch Sunday, strawberry pie, and of course, all the lovely cocktail parties with gals in their beautiful clothes. John was belle of the ball last night because of his distinguished beard. One of John's clients came and kissed me because he said his wife was kissing John. She was wild about his beard. He does look very distinguished in his ultra suede jacket. He was dancing with 2 gals on each arm. You may have enjoyed this more than the Bahamas, but hope it all works out well for that. I'm so sorry I put the wrong date down. Can't understand that, and sorry you had to go down to buy your ticket. We just have the travel agent mail them out and mail them a check. Just wear your coat and leave it with Janet or whoever drives you to the airport in Toronto and ask them to bring it to meet you. We hope you are well and that it all works out. We're proud of you for trying it. Patty just phoned. She got a job with CBS television, starting at $11,000 a year. John's over $90 an hour now, but she may have to miss the Bahamas. This is such a handsome, brilliant group of people. We're having a gorgeous time. Love, Ruth and John. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. February 26, 1981. Dearest Mother, we arrived home fine after a beautiful trip to Camelback on the lovely Arizona scenery. Mountains and sunshine. To bed early Monday, painting Tuesday, and bridge yesterday. John was very busy getting things caught up in court. John wants you to check with Air Canada. Do you need your passport or birth certificate or any such identification? Bring it along. Wear your comfortable shoes that you bought in Cleveland. Wear a coat, overshoes if you need them. Leave them with Janet or Chris to bring when they meet you. Bring vitamins and pills and medicine, tea, sleeping bag, air mattress if you can borrow one, good walking shoes, tennis shoes, striped gray and white summer dress, sweater, short muumuu, warm nightgown, bathrobe, slippers, any slacks and tops. That gold and white checked suit might be good to wear on the trip unless you have something you'd prefer. Wear a sweater to keep warm and bring a blouse for Nassau. We'll feel fortunate if this trip comes off. There have been many obstacles. 1. John had a trial March 2nd. 2. Dick Stevens is almost gone but still here. 3. Patty's job with CBS Television News, letting her work, then take the trip. 4. Peter's going to Africa this summer, has much college work and is studying. He's coming because his grandma is coming. 5. Mark and Janice may be too busy or too broke, but may make it. We'll see. 6. Your health. I must start packing up the food. Not such a long trip, though. John and I are leaving ahead of time Tuesday, March 3rd to fly to Tampa, Florida, because John has to take a deposition there on Thursday, March 5th. We'll fly to Miami and Nassau and stay at probably the British Colonial Hotel and meet you Friday, March 6th. Peter and Patty will also be coming Thursday, March 5th, and Mark and Jan Friday, March 6th. Same as you if they come. Good luck. Take care of yourself. We love you. Love, Ruth and John. Dear Gus, if you need to reach Red and me next Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday when we will be in Florida, my secretary here at the office, call her and she'll give you our phone number in Florida. See you soon. Love, John. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. I meant you to keep the March Daily Word. March 26, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, it was absolutely amazing that you were able, willing, eager, and successful in coming to our island in the Bahamas. You were wonderful to do it, and we were so lucky to have you there and share in our venture. We do hope that you survived it all okay. You're an inspiration to us all. Last Christmas I had mentioned that I'd love you to experience our beautiful water again, and Dr. Rummage said it was no place for an 80-year-old woman. But Isabel Stevens said you are not like an 80-year-old, and John said you are a lovely lady. Wish we'd had a tape recorder to tape your stories for Peter. We must do that. But we do have the movies and pictures to record your brave venture. We should have taken pictures of you and Peter on the beach in your sleeping bags. While we were sailing, Patty asked how I could expect Pamela to forgive me when I still tease you about the milk. She's right, of course. It was good when we returned when we did. We'd thought of staying another week. John gave a beautiful eulogy for Dick Stevens' memorial service, a big congregation, and another for Uncle John Zook. Fine eulogy. John's mother has her memorial service and arrangements all planned in minute detail. Do you? Would like to know your wishes. Uncle John had his headstone, Nels, and their baby daughter, Ruth, all carved and ready for years. John and I have ours too, you know. We also want you to write a list of whose rings go to who, and mark the china on the back. I'm so sorry Janet was too tired to meet you. I'm sorry about the delay in Toronto. More details tomorrow. Love, Ruth. You can tell Bud and your friends that you met the Robert Vesco. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. April 1st, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, we certainly were glad that you made the trip and hope you are recovered from the delay getting home and the disappointment of not seeing anyone in Toronto. And then you spent the time getting gifts for them and carrying them back. Hope that you wrote and complained to Air Canada. We'd had to get up so early to make that plane too. Wish we'd made your cup of tea in the morning, but I thought you'd get one on the airplane. Then, too, the sweater that I thought would help in Toronto made it hotter for you. You looked so nice when you left that it would have been nice to see your relatives and share your gifts with them. I had Janet's phone number on that sheet in case you missed the plane so we could call her. I just assumed that you'd carry her phone number and Chris's too. Don is in the phone book. After you left, we went to Paradise Island for a bountiful brunch buffet out on the terrace, champagne and everything with a view of the ocean. We shopped more at the straw market too. After John had checked in our luggage, Sherry still wanted one of my pictures but couldn't decide still. So we had them out on the luggage while she pondered. A man came along and asked if they were for sale. He immediately decided on the large one, then Sherry said that was the one she wanted. So he said he'd take two of the others and paid me. After we left right away, Patty said he came back looking for me, and she thought he'd probably wanted to buy the others. Sherry's having it framed in New York for $40, but still hasn't paid Patty for the picture or cab fare or written to us. John paid for her hotel and meals. John and Fred, my teacher, both got after me for selling them at such a low price. I was thrilled that the man wanted to buy them. As soon as we got home, John phoned the Stevens and Dick died Friday the 13th. It was a big 500 folks memorial service and John gave a wonderful eulogy. John's mother came over on the bus and when we took her back, we took her to visit the nursing home to see her brother John and wife Nell. Thursday night. John Zook thanked us for coming and died Saturday at noon. John gave another beautiful eulogy for him. We drove Helen down for that funeral, and she was the only one of the 9 brothers and sisters there. John had to cancel appointments, and I had to cancel a bridge luncheon, but we felt it was important that we go. John's mother had hurt her ankle, so couldn't go. We went back to Grandma Zook's house, and they gave us some pots and pans for the Bahamas and John's great-grandfather's Bible. We went as a patron to a Shakespeare-style show luncheon downtown, and the director who kissed you spoke. Have been busy getting my pictures framed for the art show. We'll have some pictures taken of my pictures for you. Shirley Cullard brought me a lovely bouquet of daisies and iris yesterday. We took a few to Pam's spot. It's been so beautiful to work in the garden. The crocuses are lovely, and the daffodils and hyacinths about to bloom. It was 77 degrees yesterday, so John worked all weekend on the lawn. It's lovely. Glad you saw our Cistern Key. It's such a beautiful world. We're glad we survived the winter. Patty was going skiing this weekend. Love, Ruth and John. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. April 20th, 1981. Dearest Mother and Dad, we were so very glad to receive your letter of April 9th. It's been so long since we'd heard from you. Your letter before that was written March 19th, 21 days, 3 weeks before, so we wondered if you were ill or had the shingles again. I phoned you one evening, but there was no answer. We certainly hope you haven't been ill. You mentioned having your gals for a dinner bridge, so maybe you're just busy, I hope. I realize that the trips must be hard on you. Should have looked at your pictures of your shingles. I had John take one of me after my operation and sent it to Patty, but told her not to show it to anyone else. Maybe I'll have her send it to you. I look so awful. Now I must tell you about my wonderful week. Last fall, Shar McQuilkin suggested that Helen Lacey and I have our art show together. I felt that I wanted to have some sort of memorial for Pamela on the 10th anniversary of her death, and it all just came together. I've been really busy since we returned, getting my pictures framed. I had 56 of them. The best part of all was having Patty fly home from New York for it. She was so appreciative of being home. The weather was lovely, and she reveled in being in her shorts in the sun out on the lawn. 1, painting is the easy part. 2, framing is harder and more expensive. 3, naming the pictures is hard. 4, pricing is almost impossible. I had to get a price list ready and found it so hard. One lady framing them suggested about $85 for most. The man who framed the florals suggested $150 to $175. Patty thought my prices were too high. Oh well. We had the palms on the altar on Palm Sunday in memory of Pamela. Patty came to church with us, and then we had to go hang the paintings at the Barton Center. What a rush. From 11 a.m. to 12 noon, we threw them up. I'd really wanted to hang them Saturday, but Shar said that we couldn't. Of course, some people came early, and we were still working. Helen had come earlier, so it was all set. We had about 200 folks come, and it was such a lovely party that I wish you could have been there. Patty enjoyed so many friends coming, her kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Vogler, her babysitter, her piano teacher, her viola teacher, even my principal from when I taught over 30 years ago, Alice Kent. Then many of our good friends came. Carol brought John's mother, even some of our Oberlin professors who were in the women priest trial, and our new woman assistant priest. It poured all afternoon. Shar McQuilkin had a lovely buffet of white wine and cheese balls which Carly brought, and beautiful canapes, and cookies and coffee and punch. Oh, and Janice's folks, her parents, sent a gorgeous floral arrangement. It was really like having a wake while you were still alive. I had promised myself to give 10% in memory of Pam to the juvenile diabetes and 10% to the Barton Senior Center. And I sold about $900, so I'm giving $100 to juvenile diabetes and $100 to Barton. Of course, the framing takes the rest, but I'm in 2 more art shows this week, but just 3 pictures each. John is in a $5 million trial this week, 3 weeks, so I went down Monday, exhausting. 3 lawyers are here from Kentucky for it, so we took them to my art show and here to see my flowers. The garden is spectacular right now, and then to the yacht club for dinner. Then Char's sister came from New Jersey, so she came to the show and bought a picture. We took them to the yacht club for her birthday dinner and here to see our flowers. One lady is 85 years old and she bought one of my paintings. Paid $135, but she said her daughter likes it too. Another elderly woman wanted one so badly that was sold, so she bought another one for $150. Thursday, I took an old lady from church who lives in the nursing home to the dentist and to a piano concert and my art show, and then brought her and the greenhouse man, an old friend of Ted Zook's, out here to see my garden. Yesterday, we went to church at 8:30 a.m., flowers in memory of Pamela. We had Easter dinner here and supper, 11 of us. I cooked a turkey and had a honey-baked ham, scalloped potatoes, rolls. Barb and Bill Smith brought a broccoli casserole. Carly and Dick Donaldson a salad, and Carol and Dave Wiesenauer pies. John's mother brought baked beans. Kathy and Helen came too. Wish you could have been here too, but sure you had a lovely dinner with Bud and Brian. You wrote that I have done it almost all on my own. No, no one does anything on their own. You inspired me to get a good education, and you gave us a Christian upbringing, and I inherited your artistic inclination, and now John is subsidizing my art endeavors. However, I do feel very fortunate, and with the help of the Lord and my guiding spirit, I'm getting stronger. We had a nice letter from Sherry, and she paid Patty. Patty brought the picture home, so now I must mail it to her dad. It's framed nicely. I didn't think my picture too good, though. An artist told me, though, that I'm damn good. Certainly sorry that Dad is worse. Wish you could have heard John's compliments about you to the folks here for Easter. Your beautiful, youthful spirit. Wish we could have a mother-daughter art show with your china. God bless. Love, Ruth and John. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. May 5th, 1981. Dearest Mother, it was great to hear from you. We've been busy, had a luncheon, also a coffee for compassionate friends, people who have lost children. John had a $5 million trial. We lost $850,000. Have entertained lawyers from Kentucky. I sold over $1,000 of my paintings, won an award for one in a show. We have Father Went staying in the beach house 3 nights this weekend. The priest from Washington, D.C., who was also found guilty over the woman priest issue. We went for the trial. He works with terminally ill children and is giving a workshop on death and dying. We have 20 for dinner Saturday in Oberlin. I'm so thrilled about my paintings. Peter's 21st birthday is May 11th. John's birthday is May 19th. He started wearing long ties. Do you have any old ones of Dad's? Put one in an envelope and send it. Love you, Ruth. Now we have one comment based on the original publication from my father, John S. Ray. Dear Editor, the 4 pages of pictures with SFMC number 84 are just great. I particularly like the one with me holding Gus while standing on the beach at Cistern Key. How wonderful it was to have Gussie with us on Cistern. Yes, she did sleep on the beach, and yes, it did rain that night. The only night it rained on the trip. What a wonderful time Red had doing her art show at the Barton Center with Helen Lacey. Red's art has been a great source of pleasure to both of us. I certainly remember the asbestos trial in federal court, which lasted almost a month and resulted in an $850,000 verdict against our client, Johns Manville. What a lovely letter from Patricia while she was at CBS. She really seems to enjoy her visits home, and we love having her. Keep up the good work. Love, Dad. John S. Ray, Rocky River, Ohio. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.